What is going on, fellow alchemists? Welcome to Quasi Astrology. Today we are talking about the moon in the 10th house and the moon in conjunction to the midheaven. Also touching on moon in Capricorn, but firstly just want to say thank you to all my new subscribers. Thank you so much for all of the support, and thank you for clicking on this video. So let's get stuck into this one. It's the moon in conjunction to the midheaven, the moon in the 10th house, and the moon in the sign of Capricorn. So let's get stuck in. So the moon in Capricorn, I think we'll start with that aspect and that theme first. Firstly, I just want to touch on the fact that when I do touch on astrology, I always go into the esoteric explanations first, and then I try and encompass some mundane astrology into that as well. So when we're speaking about the moon in mundane astrology, we talk about our reactions and our emotions. This is what the moon rules over. Everything that we have a reaction to, the emotions are generated from that. But in esoteric astrology, what we see is the moon is basically our access, because the moon controls over the lunar channels in our physical reality and allows for us as the physical gross matter to allow for our souls to find a way to access the metaphysical and more ethereal aspects of our reality, the things that we aren't able to directly interact with. A lot of these things are seen in the 8th house, and a lot of these other topics and subjects are seen in the 12th house, because the 12th house deals with hidden things that we cannot interact with, whereas the 8th house deals a lot with things that we can interact with, but only through the ability to pierce through the veil. So the moon is the veil of our reality. It provides us, because the moon rules over the sexual practice or the sexual intercourse itself, the moon provides us with the access into those realms, or into the ethereal, more cosmic aspects of our relationship with our cosmic whole, or our cosmic identity. So when we have the moon sitting in Capricorn, now Capricorn is a very, very powerful and very important sign esoterically when we speak about Capricorn, because Capricorn is the point in which we are at our most dense and most practical form. So when the moon comes into Capricorn, what we find in Capricorn is Capricorn represents the point in the chart where we are at our most dense in regards to the gross matter that surrounds us. This is why Capricorn is ruled over by Saturn traditionally, and in esoteric astrology, Lilith. Now, or Hecate in the Greek mythology, or Greek lore. So the aspect of Capricorn, or the teachings of Capricorn, is this is where the alchemist has finally come through the process of finding its discipleship in Scorpio and becoming the triumphant disciple in Sagittarius, and finally moving on into Capricorn and becoming the absolute occultist in regards to finally transmuting the nature of itself into gold. So transmuting the baser lead into gold. So that's the whole purpose of Capricorn, and that is why Capricorn in its a mundane state is the most dense and most practical sign in the whole zodiac, because Capricorn has the most spiritual potential attached to all of this. In order to be at the lowest part of the descending arc, there is only one direction to go, which is up in this case, which is up the ascending arc in theosophy into spiritual matter, or into spiritual ethereal light matter. So what we see in Capricorn is we see our densest forms here. We see the ability of ourselves to control our society, to control our surroundings, and to be a king or queen or empress or goddess, whatever you wish to call or remark yourself as the absolute top echelon of that class, the absolute top rulership you find here in Capricorn. So Capricorn is a very, very, very important sign when it comes to the esoterical, metaphysical progression of the soul. As I previously mentioned, it is where we are at our densest, surrounded and meshed together with dense matter, and where we find our most, the strongest potential for us to finally abandon the cosmic scale of reincarnation and actually transmit ourselves up the ascending arc into spirit. So when you have the moon sitting in Capricorn, or sitting in the 10th house, or close to the midheaven, what we see is your ability to use those lunar channels either in the mundane aspect or in the higher, more ethereal, esoteric aspects, to utilize your dominance over the physical gross matter that surrounds you. So having moon in the 10th house can be quite beneficial. However, because of the tidal nature of the moon in the 10th house, or the moon in Capricorn, there can be a lot of uncertainty, because Capricorn is so rigid and fixed. The moon is so fluid and it's all about fluctuation because the moon goes in stages, it wanes and it waxes. So the issue here is trying to find the settlement in where you could find a place to use that adaptability that the moon provides, both in the mundane and esoteric aspects of our practice of using the lunar energy in our lives, and actually finding a way to settle that in the very rigid, tough, and very strong and sturdy nature of Capricorn. To use that to transmute the Capricorn energies here and finally move towards Aquarius and Pisces, where we start to see the absolute return into the collective whole. So when you have the moon in conjunction to the midheaven, remember the midheaven is one of the most important, and in my personal opinions, more important than the ascendant, because the midheaven is how the world will see you at the end of your life when everything is drummed up. The midheaven is how you react and how the world sees you react to specific subject matter or specific influences and stimulants in your life. So with the moon here, there can be a very sumptuous, juicy type of way the world sees you. They might see you as a very sumptuous, juicy, emotionally perplexing type of individual, because the moon is all about that fluctuation. The moon is very sexual in its nature. Remember, I mentioned that the moon actually does rule over not necessarily the initiation of sex, but the sexual process in which we start to find the creativity and mend in some of the aspects of the 5th house. So the moon in the 10th house in conjunction to the midheaven really provides you with the ability to use that emotion, to use in some cases the emotional manipulation to find your way forward and to actually advance yourself. So with the moon here, the overall lesson is trying to use the moon to finally allow yourself to transmute the final process or stage before returning to the collective. This lunar energy will help you process once you're able to get over the obstacle of finding a way to settle it down in the energies of Capricorn, in the 10th house energies, and actually finally use it to transmutate yourself and transmute yourself up the ascending arc of spirit, and finally getting out of here and reaching moksha or spiritual emancipation. Finally dealing the final death blow to your physical body and finding the spiritual emancipation that you need. So fellow alchemists, I hope you really enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, drop a like down below if you did enjoy this video. Go into the comment section down below, tell us what it's like having moon in the 10th house for you and in conjunction to your midheaven. And above all, I'll see you in the next one when I do the moon in the 11th house. Until then, goodbye.